Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Alyssa and today we're going to be talking about what I've been currently reading and what I finished recently. So this is only kind of like towards the end of last month because I talked about a bunch of the other stuff I read throughout other videos and everything. So this is just kind of like a quick update of what's going on. And so one of the first ones I just recently finished was the Last Kids on Earth and the Midnight Blade by Max Brallier and Douglas Holgate. This is book 5. This one is dealing with the aftermath of what happened with Dirk in book 4 and the kids trying to deal with it and handle it, as well as the news that they got that there are survivors out in New York and trying to figure out if they should go out there or if they should continue fighting the evil that's currently in their own backyard kind of deal. It also brings back another villain from an earlier book who has come back, and it's one of the books I would say first like big significant death for the good guys. It did bring me to tears because I did like the character. I was a little upset about it. I will say one of the only issues that I really have with this series is that when something like major happens, it's only given like a page of attention, and so you don't really get to like really fully sit and like deal with it. And I understand it's a kids book, it's a fast moving kids book, it's all, it's meant to move quickly, but I also feel like there could be a bit more time to like kind of like absorb the things that are happening. Just my opinion. Then I finished The Proving Trail by Louis L'Amour. This one took a little bit longer. It is one of his slightly longer books. I want to say it's close to 200 pages. Let me take a quick little gander. Yeah, it's 198. Most of his other books are about 150. He's got a couple of longer ones, but this was one of the longer ones that I've read within the last 2 months. And where Taggart was forgettable, this one, it wasn't forgettable, but I did find it really boring. It was also extremely repetitive. The amount of times that Kearney, our main character, repeats information about his situation and about his father and about someone he knows or something he doesn't know, because he doesn't know enough about his past, because him and his dad have always moved from place to place to place, and he just figured it's because his dad was like a wandering man kind of thing and just took him along with it. But you find out there's more involved, and that it actually involves like the family in general being terrible, horrible people, and it all being revolved around money and land, one of those kind of situations. And it was like his father trying to protect him and stuff, but it was just so slow moving. And I was just like, can we get some pace going? Because normally his other books have a really, really good pace, and you just kind of like, you just go with the flow, and you're just like, yeah, this is great, I'm loving this, and you're jamming along just fine. But this one, just the pace was abysmal, honestly. And I was listening to the audiobook, and that one wasn't really helping much. And so I was just like, and I think honestly what it was the amount of repetitive information that was going on, that it just kind of like gets to a point where you're like, okay, I get it. You've not had a lot of experience talking to women. You don't have to remind me every single time a woman comes into the story. Like, because every time a new female character would come into the story, like Kearney's like, now I ain't never had much luck talking to women. I get that, okay? You spend most of your time in the mountains talking to cows. I get it. It became one of those kind of things, and it really like ruined the enjoyment of the story, because you're just like, if this 17-year-old kid repeats himself one more time, So I will have to say this is probably at the moment my least liked Louis L'Amour book. It comes underneath Taggart, because like I said, Taggart was just forgettable, but it at least like, I wasn't like bored out of my mind with it. I was just like, when it was done, I was just like, well, that one was the story. And whereas The Proving Trail is like, okay, this is boring. When's something gonna happen? And it does have some scenes, you know, where some action takes part, but because like it takes so long to get to it and have to like swim through all the repetitive information, when you finally get to it, you're just like, does this mean the story is almost over? So that was my experience with The Proving Trail. And the last one that I read within the last week was the final book in this Wing Feather series. This is actually the short story collection, because I finished the 4th book like at the beginning of the month, and then like beginning of the month, end of the previous month. And this one it was a toss-up, because like I said, it's just a short story collection. There's 7 short stories, and I don't even think Peterson himself wrote all of them. I think they were like guest authors, and I think maybe he wrote one of them. And I just listened to the first one, which is just an Aladdin retelling, to be quite honest. It was an Aladdin retelling. And then the second one I skipped, because I do these on audio. And after like 10 minutes of that particular story, I was like, this is nonsense. Like it just sounded like gobbledygook nonsense. And I was like, I'm irritated listening to this. And so I skipped the entire story, because it was just like rambling. Like it didn't feel like a story at all. It just felt like someone just in your ear rambling about random information about stuff. And I was just like, I'm done. The third one, some forgettable short story, I think that involved Poto. And then there was a little there's a little comic in here. It's her birthday. Okay. Nothing great about that story. The one after that was a story involving Poto. And if you guys have seen any of my other wrap-up videos, Poto is the grandfather who I despise with all of my heart and soul. And the last thing I wanted to do was read a story about him hunting baby dragons. That was the last thing I wanted to read. And so I didn't read. So like I listened to most of it before I realized that, oh, we're talking about how he was killing baby dragons and found it okay to do. And then was like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared of the big dragons because they're mad at me. Why are they mad at me? You killed their babies. That's why they're mad. And then there was a like short story poem thing about two cousins in love with the same woman who decided to fight over her without actually seeing if she was interested in either one of them. And then the one after that was like a 3-part short story, and it starts out with a dad allowing his daughter to get kidnapped, and then him being like, I have to be a better man because I let that happen. And I was like, so we have to let something bad happen to a girl so that you could be a better person? And I lost interest, and that was where I decided to just DNF. And I'm done. And there was a big part of me that honestly didn't even want to read this. I only decided to try and push myself through it because I own it. But I pushed myself through the actual story itself, the first 4 volumes, and I hated every single one of them, especially the entire ending. And get out of my face with that. And so I already had gone into this just kind of being like, do I even want to? And then just the way each of the stories played out, and then the writing styles involved, like, I don't care. I think out of the 7, I fully interacted, like read the whole thing. I think it was like 3 or 4 of them. So yeah, but I'm done, and I can now get those books out of my collection. That'll free up some bookshelf space, because those are 5 books, because it's a 4-part series, and then the 5th one for the tales. So that'll free up 5 spaces on the bookcase. That's a good thing. And then I never have to touch it again, and I won't ever pick up any of his other books. So then on to what I'm currently reading, and I am still working my way through Louis L'Amour's Lost Treasures Volume 2. I did have to get the audiobook a second time because I ran out of time the first time around, because it's like, I think it's like a 38-hour audiobook. And normally I listen to it on my way to work, but the past like 2 weeks I've been wanting to listen to music, so I haven't been listening to it. And so I had to return it because somebody else is also apparently reading Louis L'Amour, and they're taking all of the audiobooks. Rude. I'm not irritated at all. So I'm working on this one. I only just got to one of the first stories because it does have like a long opening, a long introduction where Bo talks about his dad and his journey through publishing and everything. And so I only like just got to some of the unfinished works. So, and then I am in the middle of Absinthe by Brendan P. Belcourt. This is, if you watched my previous video about my books in a jar, this was one of the pools that I picked out. And I am, where am I? I'm up to chapter 15, so that's 120 pages, and I'm actually enjoying this. I was really hesitant and thought I wasn't going to like it due to the fact that it's got like a 1920s setting, and for the most part I don't really care about that time era. And so it's more like, I don't know, I never really got into like the roaring 20s and stuff like that. Just never really kind of sparked my interest, and that's what this one takes place in. But so far it doesn't really seem too much like the 1920s like plays too much of a part. Like, they've gone to a speakeasy, they have obviously drank some absinthe and everything, and then the gun of choice seems to be the Tommy gun, which I'm assuming that was like the gun of choice during the 20s, if I remember correctly. Like, I know the mobsters really liked it and everything. But it has like a lot of sci-fi elements where the world, it's like after the war and everything, and there's like a mechanical kind of thing, like everything is kind of advanced with like mechanics and everything, and some people have like mechanical parts in their body to replace things that have been destroyed in the war. There's like, they have one of the main characters, he has a butler that's completely mechanics. There's like a little mechanical horse, and like, so it's a lot of like advanced technology, but they still have like this 1920s kind of setting going on, and I am finding it pretty interesting. There seems to be some evil government stuff going on, like the government is doing some evil, not cool things, and it gives, because our main character, he was altered during the war and experimented on by the US government. And then when the war ended, they like wiped everybody's memories and sent them back out into the world or whatever. But now things are coming to a head again because the opposing sides have found out about this and they're trying to expose it, and the US government's still trying to like cover it up and everything. So it's definitely got some kind of interesting stuff going on and everything, and like kind of seeing how the gifts that everybody has like start to unfold is pretty interesting. And it's also interesting to see because like it also plays back and forth with Liam, that's the main character, with his memories. Like, you get to see his memories from when he was in the war to like where he's at now and everything. And yeah, so it's pretty interesting. I'm enjoying it more than I thought I was going to, so hopefully that continues playing out. It is a standalone, so that's really nice that it'll be a one and done situation, so hopefully it'll continue being really good. It's got quite a bit of action in it too, which is so funny because like I read a review where they were like, not enough action, and I was like, I just went through like 5 chapters of pure action. What are you guys talking about? The setup did take a minute. I will say the setup was a little on the slower side, like those first like 40-50-ish pages, but now that it's actually like getting into the meat of the story, it's actually pretty interesting so far. The next Louis L'Amour book that I will be starting is Westward the Tide. This one, because if you're new here, I don't really read synopsises, but I'll read this one to you guys. The promise was gold, a lot of it waiting in the Bighorn Mountains. The plan was to head out with a hand-picked party and nothing but the best in wagons, stock, and goods. Matt Bardul bought bought in because the girl he wanted was there, but the tall, rugged man in buckskin sensed there was something wrong even before someone tried to warn him off, and someone else tried to gun him down. Sure enough, as the wagon train journeys westward, a deadly plot unfolds. Now Bardol is the only man standing between innocent people and a brutal conspiracy of greed, lust, and cold-blooded murder. So it is this one is 216 pages. So hopefully it's not slow like the Proving Trail was. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more interesting. I really like the cover. This yellow dot is a sticker. I haven't gotten it off yet because it's a very old sticker. But yeah, this will be the next Louis L'Amour that I am getting ready to dive into. So that's what's going on with my reading right now. And like I said in the previous video, I'm not doing wrap-up videos, like end of the month wrap-up videos anymore kind of thing. I think I'm just gonna fill you guys in on what's going on and everything, and you know, just figuring out what direction I want this channel to go. So it might be a little weird for the next couple of videos, who knows. But anyways, that's everything I'm reading. So hopefully you guys are reading something good. Let me know down in the comments what you guys are in the middle of reading, or what was your last like favorite book that you read from last month. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.